Hey, what's going on? I wanted to show you the software version of the MonoPoly. There are 5 different iterations of it that I'm aware of. There is the iOS version for the iPad and the iPhone. There is the dedicated version for KORG Gadget, Montpellier. There is the VST version for Mac and PC. There's also a rack extension version for Reason Studios. I'm going to do a very quick overview of the whole panel. And then I'm going to talk about a couple of the things that I think that are really unique and special about this synth. The MonoPoly is a 4-voice paraphonic synth, meaning that they share one filter and they share one amp. We have 4 different VCOs. They have a 4-octave range, and you can adjust those by semitones. There are 4 different waveform types. We have triangle, sawtooth, we have pulse width modulation, which can be modified here using modulation generator 1, 2, or you can use the envelope from the filter. We have pulse width, which can be modified here for all of the 4 VCOs. 2, 3, 4 have a fine tune on the left-hand side, and then up at the top here we have a master tuning for all of the VCOs. Over here we have a 24 dB resonant low-pass filter. It self-resonates. We have keyboard tracking so you can play the filter, and then envelope intensity is bipolar, so you can go in the inverse or into the positive. We have a full ADSR for the voltage controlled filter, and then we have a full ADSR for the amp as well. Down here we have noise. We have a 2-octave pitch bend range, which is really cool. We have pan and volume controls. Over here we have portamento. We have a global detune and a global transpose. Up here we have 2 LFOs or modulation generators. They can be set to key trigger. They also can be tempo synced. We have 5 different waveforms for these. We have triangle, saw down, saw up, pulse width, and sample and hold for both of these. Right below here we have an arpeggiator, and we have a couple of different modes. So we have up, down, and random. We've got an octave range here, and the speed of this arp is controlled by LFO2 or modulation generator 2. If you look down here, we have the key assign mode. By default, it's set to poly, and in the software versions, it's true polyphonic, which is really cool. So you can play up to 32 different voices. Next to it, we have original poly, which is how the poly mode functioned on the original hardware. And what this allows you to do is to play 4 notes at a time. If you're playing a 4-note chord, what will happen is your first note, VCO1, VCO2, VCO3, VCO4 as you're playing that chord. We have the mono mode, unison, and you can stack these voices up to get a really big fat sound. We have the chord mode as well, which allows you to just basically hold down a couple of notes, and then if you hit chord, then it memorizes that. I'll show you real quick. There we go. We have the voices section here. Up here at the top we have total, which allows us to set this up to 32 voices all the way down to 1. We have control for the unison, so how many voices and stacking them. Your detune amount here. You have spread so that you can get sort of a stereo spread. And then analog over here, it just makes things more analog-y, so it sort of sets some randomness for the filters, the envelopes, the oscillators. It just makes it sound more analog-y, you know what I'm saying? Right over here, this is important. This is the trigger mode. Because this is paraphonic and it shares the envelope, you can control how that paraphonic mode functions. In this multi-mode, if we press another note, so if we're playing 2 notes at a time, the amp and the filter envelopes will re-trigger. See how it sounds like that first note that I'm playing is being played again? That's because of this trigger mode. If I put this on single, right back to multi. Next we have the VCO modulation, and I think that this is the most unique or important part of this synth. I think it's what gives it its awesome character. We have sync, we have cross mod, which allows you to use one of the oscillators to modulate the frequency of another oscillator. And then we also have freak mod, which I think I would have called it pitch mod, and basically allows you to modulate the pitch of some of these oscillators with either the filters envelope or with the LFO1 or modulation generator 1. Here is the important part, and it took me a while to wrap my head around this. This single and double mode. In single mode, when you were using the VCO modulation, VCO 2, 3, and 4 are synced to VCO 1, or they will be cross-modded by VCO 1. If you are in double mode, VCO 2 will be synced or modulated by VCO 1, and VCO 4 will be synced or modulated by VCO 3. In there, I think that you can get some really complex sounds, some really neat sounds out of it. And to me, this is where the synth opens up. Let's explore that really quickly. We're just gonna stay in single mode right now, meaning that VCO 1 is gonna be the one that will be cross-modding or syncing these other VCOs. So I'm going to use Freak Mod here, and I'm going to use Modulation Generator 1 to control the pitch of VCO 2 so that we can hear that sort of sync sound, right? Now, because we are in single mode, if I turn VCO 2 down and I turn VCO 1 up, right, maybe we'll go to pulse width, you can hear that it's doing that as well. If I go to double mode, I turn VCO 1 down, we're not getting anything. If I go back to single, so you can sort of route things and come up with some complex sounds. We're going to go down to X mod, and because the X mod control is not on, this allows us to access this pitch mod or this freak mod without getting any sort of cross modulation, which is also really cool. Right now, we're just going to listen to VCO 2. And then we can change the waveform for that modulation. We can introduce maybe some cross mod in there, modulation from VCO 1. We can also do sync and cross mod at the same time here with this option. So we can turn this on here. Let's just take a listen and see what we got. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and explore this other part of the synth, paraphonic mode, and how it does this sort of round robin feature. And I'll just explain it to you. So I'm going to put it on original. And if we start playing a bunch of notes here, we're only just going to get this top oscillator. Right? You're not getting that second note. If we turn up VCO 2, okay, that's sort of interesting, right? You can change the waveform for the second note that you're playing. So on our first oscillator, we have a saw, then a pulse width, right? And then we can add our third note. Maybe we'll have this one doing pulse width modulation, which is controlled by this here, MG1. So our third note, right, is already getting some sort of interesting modulation. Okay. And then lastly, let's add this other one in here, and then maybe we'll do pulse on this as well. We'll throw it an octave up. I'm gonna just come over to my, my MIDI controller so that I can actually play some chords. Right, that's sort of interesting. Now, this is something that I really love about this, is to fine tune these other oscillators sort of randomly like this. Oh, and you know what? I'm in this multi-mode and I don't like the way that that sounds where it's re-triggering, so I'm just gonna go ahead and turn that off. Here's another place that you can take this round robin paraphonic thing a step further. When you are in this original poly mode and you turn on the ARP, it will cycle through VCO 1, 2, 3, and 4. Da, 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 right? Let's take a listen real quick. The ARP is controlled by LFO 2 or Modulation Generator 2, so I'm just going to turn this up. That's wild, right? Here's another thing that we can do. I'm gonna play in a chord, right? So now I've got, we can then turn the ARP on. This VCO modulation and all of the weird, wacky things that you can do with it, I think is really, really interesting. And then this original poly mode where you can sync and round robin through these different oscillators, it's cool. It's really, really cool. There's also a ton of effects that are in here. We've got 19 different effects that are available, and they're like really don't have any business being this good. Probably one of my favorites and most used in here are the overdrive, the stereo cross delay. Look at all the features that are in here. It is a little fiddly, right? Because you're trying to get your hands in there, but they sound really, really cool. We also have a mod matrix, right? And we have 8 different assignments that are available here. And I'm not gonna go into all of these, maybe I'll do this in another video, but if you take a look at the source, we've just got like a ton of different source options here. For things that are bipolar, you can go into the positive, into the negative, modulation generator. So you can select that, and then you can then combine that with other things like velocity or keyboard tracking. So you can get extremely granular. Let's just maybe take this top one here. And then the destinations, pretty much everything that's on the panel, you can go ahead and grab. This is the last thing that I'll talk about here. We've got Midi Learn on here, and this is super, super simple. So if you have a MIDI controller plugged in, you literally just go find the thing that you'd like to control. So let's say like cutoff, right? And then you just move it on your MIDI controller. I'm using my MIDI controller down here and I don't have it in the frame. I just map the cutoff, the resonance as well. So we'll just go ahead and select this. We'll go down here. Where is resonance? Resonance on my MIDI controller. And now when I move my MIDI controller, I have control of that. And this thing just sounds so good. And you could have it in your pocket, right? And you could just bring it around with you. KORG just came out with this like little foldable pocket. It looks like a phone. It looks like an Android phone. So you could just have your phone and that thing, boom, in your pocket, headphones, and then you're good to go. I just wanted to share it with you because I don't see a lot of folks talking about it. And I think because it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. It's on the iPhone. It's VST for Mac and PC. It's accessible within reason. It's great. It sounds awesome. And I think if you are maybe interested in getting the hardware, because they're quite expensive still, I think that they're running somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000. This is a good place to like explore and see if you like it and see if you get along with it before you make that plunge. Anyways, I hope that you have a great day. Oh, I dropped an album like a month or 2 months ago. It is called Descent, and it's on my Bandcamp. And if you listen to it, that would be great for me. I'd appreciate that. And I'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye.